Welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at a product that is really cool for you parents out there and one that has incredibly high reviews on Amazon. Now over the next 2 to 3 weeks we're going to be taking a lot of different products that really work well with families inside of your Tesla Model 3 or your Tesla Model Y. And you're not already subscribed to my channel, go down and hit the subscribe button, hit that bell so you know when the new videos come out. And so this company sent this out to me. It's called the Smart Tiny Traveler Baby Car Monitor. I actually had to cut that 4 times because I kept reading that wrong. I'm actually really bad at reading things. And then when I do read it right, half the time I say the word still wrong. Now, not having ever actually researched something like this, I went onto Amazon to see kind of what their competitors were, and you can see that they're like the top company on Amazon, the best reviews, and like over 15,000 of them. So I'm pretty excited to see how this all comes together. All right, first let's talk about what is inside the box. First, you get the actual monitor itself. And this is really cool because it's nice and compact. So you can actually fit this down in your console when you're not using it. And then you just pull it out really whenever you need to use it. But when you do want it, all you have to do is press right here and it pops right up. So it's nice and convenient. Wow, that is bright. Attached to the screen there are 2 different plugs. One that goes to your power, which we'll talk about in a second, and then one that connects the actual monitor to the camera. So the power actually works as, well, the power and the switch. So this plugs into your cigarette lighter. And then on the back of this is an actual button, and that's what's going to turn the camera on and off. You get an absolute ton of wire to run this to pretty much wherever you want to put that monitor. I'm basically going to take it and run it alongside, down the side of my car, probably just tuck it in beside my floor mats. I'm not going to get too fancy with it because this is not going to be a permanent thing to keep in the car. Unlike a lot of the stuff I do, I take the panels off and everything. This time we're just going to run it along the base of my car. And then this is the camera right here. So you can see it's actually got some night vision in there, so this should work at night just as well as during the day. We'll test all of that out. This thing actually pivots right here, as well as you can adjust this to pretty much look any direction because of all the different straps that are attached to the camera. And then as far as actually putting the camera in the car, you get 2 different options to stick it onto your dash. You can either take this and stick it on a little, grippy pad type of thing. See, grippy pad. Or you can use a more permanent approach with double-sided kind of a rubber sticky pad here. First, let's get the monitor where we want it and take a look at some different angles, and then we'll take and hook the camera up in the back seat. I don't have a baby yet, but I'm working on that. So for me right now, I got my 2 screens right here, and this one's actually tilted. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually just gonna take it and place it right here. So it's just kind of in the center for now. I may adjust it later, but I don't really know if a better place. So for now, I'm just gonna stick it where it's, just kind of the easiest. And so I'm just gonna wrap the cord right here, place it on there. I feel like that's probably gonna stay. And then I'm just gonna take the cord, I'm just gonna run it down along the side of the screen. And then next I'm gonna install the camera right here on the back of my seat, looking back to where I would have the baby's car seat. Now in this car, my headrests don't go up. Okay, they're kind of stationary, so I can't put the one around the back. Okay, so this is how I ended up doing this. So I started up here with the cable. I then ran it down here beside my screen, and you can see the cable coming right down here, all along here, into the floor mat down here. So then I ran it all the way underneath of here. So it comes all along here and then comes out right here. There was a little bit of extra here because I wanted to make sure that I got enough room to run it through the back. And then come around over here. And you can see here that I ended up actually taking off the other strap, which made it look way cleaner, much nicer. So I would definitely recommend that if you can't actually run it all the way around, take it off, keep it nice and clean. You can also take this strap away somewhere else. I ran the cord through the strap here and then ran this all the way down here. And how I'm keeping it from not moving was I took a zip tie and tied them all together nice and tight, and that just kind of wedged right down in there like that. And then that also keeps this cord nice and tight all the way up, so it's not getting in the way of anything. Again, it's not maybe the most glamorous job, but it's pretty good. And without having to go in and do any big installs, removing trim to make it all fit perfectly, I think it's gonna be a good fit for most people because I don't know that everyone's gonna keep this in their car all the time. So it's nice to have an option like that. Another thing to be aware of as well is that if your seat was pulled forward, like with a Tesla, when you're not in the car, the seats kind of go back and in different positions. And then when I was installing the light, I moved it forward. So just make sure you got enough cable, between your zip tied, cable and the front. So when you do move your seat, it's not pulling the cable, turning your camera or whatever. One thing that might end up being a little bit of an issue is if you're using your cigarette lighter for anything else. For example, I have a charger in here that powers up my phone at super high speeds. Also, if you have one of these in here as well, a car tray, this has to fit down in there, and the cigarette lighter is right in here. So it has to be able to connect and have enough room to fit that. So it's very possible that when I put this one in, I'm not going to have room to put my tray organizer inside of here. So that may be a bit of a trade-off with this because of the size. Now, if they made this smaller and put the button maybe on the cord somewhere, that would have solved this problem. And I don't think most cars have this issue, but with the way that Teslas are designed and where the cigarette lighter is, this may be an issue. So let's try it. I'm going to take it here and plug that in. So now the power is good. And let's just try this tray real quick and see. Oh, it does fit. Awesome. That's super good. It must have been pretty darn close in there, but we're good. So that's awesome. So this can then still close, but of course there is still a problem even with that, and that is that in order to get to the switch, because of that tray, you're going to have to take this out, press it, and then put this back in, which you're not doing this constantly all the time anyway, so it's really no big deal, but it's just something to be aware of. So now we have this cord here that's come out of this. We're gonna have to figure out what to do with the extra cord here in a minute, but first let's make sure the monitor works, because as soon as I plug this in, we should be good to go. All right, I'll take it out here so you guys can see it. All right, so plugging in the power is plugged in. Now, all I should have to do is come in here and press this. Are you able to see that if I shelter some of that sun? Anyway, that's the back car seat right there. And so I can actually see the entire middle seat, the seat right behind me, and a little tiny bit of the far seat. So it actually has a pretty wide angle lens, which is exactly what you want for a rear seat like that. So now I'm curious, if I were to take this and close it, if it would actually shut the screen down, or if I just have to, let's see, I'm closing it slowly here. So far it's not turned off. As far as I can tell, it's still on. Yeah, it didn't shut off. So the only way to actually kill this thing, shut it off, would be to actually go down and press the switch. It's pretty fast. It comes back on in about 2 to 3 seconds. 1, 2, yeah, about 2 seconds. So it's pretty quick. Just not terribly surprising considering it is a direct wire. There is no Wi-Fi here. And that's one thing that's kind of nice about this, is just one less signal floating around your car. So it's going to work every single time with very, very little amount of air here. So one of the issues that is going to be kind of hard to get around is that the cords are all kind of loose and hanging, and there's really nothing you can do about that. This is not designed to be all tucked away and, you know, low profile. I did have them mounted and everything down there, but if you're just using that pad right there, it doesn't take a whole lot to just kind of move the wires, and then this starts spinning like this. So that even just the weight of these two connectors here pulling are enough to jolt this a little bit. So again, this is a small thing, but it is a thing. If your knees are constantly going to be hitting that wire, you're going to constantly also be having to adjust your monitor screen, unless you use something a lot more tacky or heavier to keep it up there, which I'm sure there's a lot of better solutions out there to keep it from moving. But overall, the system itself works great, just the whole wiring and mounting thing. But then again, you are paying under 30 bucks for this, or around 30 bucks for this, so I mean, it's pretty dang good. Now for a trial. Let's go out and drive, both in daylight and in the dark, and to see how well you can see the screen, how well it works, how the sun glare is, and all the above. All right, so let's start now by just going out of my driveway. There's a big bump down here. I got this nice and centered. Let's get it opened up, and let's turn it on. There we go. And it's sort of kind of in my vision, and I can always move it if it's too far. If I pull it a little bit closer, it comes a little bit less out of it, but it's really no big deal. It's not as much distracting just first impressions as someone who has like a phone mounted, you know, like right here, like people do. So let's give it a little drive and see how it does, and if I find it kind of annoying, or if I think it, you know, it's gonna stay right where it's at. So here's a little bit of a bump. We're gonna go kind of slow off of it. So once we get on the main road, I'll give the car a little bit of torque, give it a little bit of Tesla power boost here, and we'll see just see if it can withstand the forces of Tesla. So I guess right now what we're really testing is just merely the mount. So here's a turn with some acceleration, held that just fine, no problem there. Let's make this turn now a little bit faster. By the way, you can see it just fine. There's no glare. I could easily see my child if there was a car seat right there. That would be no problem to see whatsoever. So let's now just go up the hill here and accelerate, and we'll see. Yeah, so if you get going too hard, yeah, it's gonna come down, no question about it. Let's try it again. Yeah, so I mean, that is quite a bit of torque I'm hitting it with, but not even close to what, you know, some people do when they're driving. So anyway, as long as you're driving calmly, it'll stay there with this specific type of mount. But if you're going to drive with a little more aggressive, you definitely want to think about getting a different way of mounting it. So let's now go give it a try at night and see how well we can see it. Okay, so it is about 9 o'clock at night. It is pitch black outside, as you can see. We've got a little bit of lighting here from that light. I'm gonna go ahead and get this turned on. So I'm gonna come down here, press it in, and there it is. So you can see it is very much bright. The problem I think is going to be here is that it reflects up on the windshield. So when it's dark like this, that's I think where you're going to have your biggest issues. You get a lot of light and a lot of clarity. That night vision works phenomenally well. But because of that reflection up there, I'm wondering if maybe it would be better over here, or taking the camera or monitor and putting it down here somewhere out of your vision, so that when you're sitting back, it's not going to be reflecting up on your windshield, but instead you can just kind of look down. And the other thing is too, you could keep it closed because the monitor is still on, and then when you hear your baby maybe making noise back there, you could just come down here, press the button, and it just sort of pops up, and then you're able to, you know, check on what's going on back there. Thing is though, it is incredibly bright. I mean, that is one thing. It does a really great job. It has kind of a matte finish to the screen, so it does a pretty good job for what it's trying to do. I mean, in the night vision, again, just I can't say it enough. It looks so good on the screen. I mean, I can't believe this thing is only 40 bucks. But the problem is there is no dimming switch or scroll or anything on here, so what you have is what you get. For at night driving, that might be a little bit much. But again, it has to be that bright for daytime driving unless they were to put some kind of a wheel on there, and I couldn't find one anywhere on there. I do not think it has one. So my overall thoughts on this little baby monitor is that it's actually pretty great for 40 bucks. There's no install required. It's got great night vision that works actually really well. And it takes about 5 minutes to get it all installed. Some of the downsides are finding a good spot for that monitor where it's not going to move around. At night it's going to be hard to see having it up on your dash like that, reflecting on your windshield, and the cords are kind of all over the place, so there are some downsides to it. But if you wanted to get rid of a lot of those things, you're going to have to pay a lot more money. So at this price point, I think it's pretty much all you could ask for. Now we're going to be doing a lot with children and fitting them inside of a Model 3 and Model Y. We're going to be taking a look at a lot of different products that help you really situate the family back there. We're partnering up with a company that makes car seats that fit 3 across in the back, so if you have 3 kids like we do, they can all fit back there in car seats and boosters. We've partnered up with a seatbelt extension company that makes seatbelts that are really great for fitting between those car seats if you are all smashed together, as well as some ways to protect your back seats and floors from crackers and kids' shoes and all that sort of thing in the back seat. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribed, you've hit that bell notification, and you give us a big thumbs up, and we will see you guys on the next one.